Hi, I'm Charles with AniCap. The story begins as a hard worker named Noor does some jobs around town. He's well respected by everyone for his work ethic, and he makes a decent living. One day when being paid, Noor hears a girl calling for help, and he rushes into a cave to find that she's being attacked by a ferocious beast. A look back to 15 years ago shows a young Noor making some medicine for his sick mother. The hardworking Noor gets ready to bring in the goats, so his mother reminds him not to go beyond a certain rock. His mother is clearly very sick, so Noor plans to go make her some more tea, but his mother stops him. She apologizes for not being able to do anything for him, and she tells Noor to live the life he wants. That night, Noor makes dinner, but he's terrified when he finds that his mother passed away. Noor puts his mother to rest the next day and begins learning how to live life all on his own. Noor's life is filled with responsibility, but he has no one by his side. One night, Noor finds a book, and it triggers a memory from when his father used to read to him. This story in particular was about an adventurer that slayed a dragon with his friends. He learned magic spells from a sorcerer and broke a curse that was cast upon a forest. The adventurers group was highly respected as they always raised their swords and struck down evil for the sake of their friends. Noor is still in awe of this adventurer, and he remembers how his mother told him to live the life he wanted to live. One day, Noor decides to leave town for the first time ever, and he declares that he will become an adventurer. Noor says goodbye to his deceased parents and exits the barrier protecting his home. After days of traveling, Noor is amazed by the sight of the gigantic royal capital. He enters it for the first time ever and marvels at all the people there. He is especially amazed by one guy that looks like an adventurer, and he eventually arrives at his destination. It's the Adventurers Guild that the guards at the front gate told him about, but the clerk tells him to leave as it's not a place for kids. He tells Noor to go back to his parents, but Noor reveals that they both passed away. The clerk warms up to him a bit and explains that those wanting to register at the Royal Capital's Adventurers Guild must first take lessons at the Royal Training Schools. He suggests that if Noor really wants to become an adventurer, then he must acquire some skills first. Noor hears that this means stuff like magic and the art of the sword, so he gets excited to go to the schools. Heroes in storybooks are strong enough to defeat dragons as big as mountains with just one strike, so Noor is eager to learn how to become a hero. Noor attends the School of Heroes, but he can only watch as his classmates begin unlocking their magical powers. Noor's instructor eventually grows tired of waiting for Noor to unlock his powers and tells him that continuing to try would only be a waste of his time. The only thing Noor has learned to do is parrying to evade an attack. The instructor thinks that Noor should choose a different path, and he suggests that he try a different training school. Noor does and arrives at a school for warriors. Warriors risk their lives as shields for their friends, so Noor finds some optimism because that is pretty close to being an adventurer. Warrior training is incredibly grueling, but even after a few months of training, Noor's physical abilities only improve slightly. The instructor warns that he will lose his life if he continues to push himself, so Noor is told to try hunter training instead. Unfortunately, Noor is told that he is terrible with delicate weaponry, so he tried thief training instead. He isn't suited for that either though, so he tries magic training. Noor is only able to create the tiniest flame even after months of training, and Gandalf is shocked because it's rare to see people as incapable of using magic as Noor is. Noor's last attempt is to become a cleric, but he can barely manage to heal scratches after months. The clerk is shocked to hear that Noor couldn't learn a single useful skill after spending 3 months training at each school, and he unfortunately tells Noor that he cannot register as an adventurer. The discouraged Noor realizes that he is no prodigy and returns home. He is more sure than ever that he has no talent. However, this does not stop the spirited Noor, and he declares that he just needs to train much harder. Noor makes his own sword and remembers what his sword instructor told him. He said that if Noor practices one skill repeatedly, he might be able to master a new skill. Parrying was the only real skill he acquired from training, so he decides to train it morning, noon, and night for as long as he can. 1 year passes and Noor has increased his parrying skill so much that he can now evade 10 swords in one breath. He doesn't have any new skills yet, but his parrying has improved immensely. 3 years later, Noor is now able to evade 100 swords in one breath. However, he still doesn't have any new skills, so Noor determines that he has no chance of ever becoming an adventurer. Noor continues training though, eventually destroying his sword and seeing a light in his hand. Noor is incredibly determined and decides that he needs to train even harder. 10 years later, Nor thinks about how he is trained every day without fail, and he can now parry 1,000 wooden swords. Unfortunately, he still has not achieved any new skills. Nor decides to try and become an adventurer one last time and heads back to the capital. At the guild, the clerk sees that he only knows the weakest skills. She suggests that he go to the training schools, but Nor explains that he has already tried all of them. The girl apologizes because Nor cannot be allowed to register, but Nor expected this. Just then, the old clerk appears, but he doesn't recognize Nor. He eventually remembers him, and he's glad to hear that Nor has been training on his own. Nor explains that it hasn't gone well at all though, because he only managed to improve his parrying skill a little. The old guy explains that adventurers are ranked from E to S rank. In order to be recognized as an E rank, a person must have more than one useful skill. Nor's sad list of skills doesn't show anything useful, so Nor's dreams are crushed again. However, the old clerk says that there's more than one way to become an adventurer. There is actually something lower than E rank, and that is F rank. Nor can't believe that he might still be able to become an adventurer this way, but there are some conditions. He would be forbidden from taking any quest that involve taking lives or venturing out of the city to gather items. This means that he will only be able to accept tasks around the city. No one bothers becoming an adventurer this way, but the clerk is shocked when Nor eagerly wants to do it. Nor registers, so the clerk gives him his F rank adventurer license. The clerk doesn't think it's a big deal, but this is life-changing for Nor, so he thanks him. Nor enhances his strength a bit and gets right to work doing tasks around the town. He also increases his speed to catch a cat and uses heal to fix some scratches he got from the cat. Nor uses his tiny flame to make dinner and a rock trick to entertain some kids. Nor has finally achieved his dream of becoming an adventurer that helps people, and he fears that asking for anything more would be too much. We then return to the present, where Nor runs into the cave and finds people being attacked by a monster. Nor has only seen monsters in books, and he's shocked to see how big it is. Some guards try to protect a girl, and the captain gets attacked. Nor goes to check on him, but finds that the captain is already gone. The monster ferociously attacks the other guards, and Nor can tell that they won't survive. Seconds later, Nor's fear proves to be correct, as the monster eradicates all the guards. The beast turns its attention to the girl, but Nor uses a stone throw attack to get its attention. Nor knows what he has to do, so he runs to get some space, and he realizes how fast the beast is. Nor then turns to it and uses parry, which sends the monster flying. The beast attacks him, so Nor uses his parrying skill, but he knows that he will lose his life if he gets hit by an attack. Nor's plan is to wait for an opening so he can counterattack, but he remembers that that won't work because he doesn't have any attack skills. Nor sees that the girl still hasn't run away, and the monster seems to be attracted to her ring. The monster goes to attack her, but Nor uses his feather step ability to speed up, and he parries its attack. His sword shatters, but Nor declares that even if he can't become an adventurer hero, he wants to at least be able to protect this girl. Nor remembers how his father said that adventurers raise their swords to strike down evil for the weak, and he prepares himself for the monster's attack. Nor then uses parry with perfect timing to stop the beast's attack, and Nor's parry slices the monster's head right off. Nor realizes that he would have been a goner if the monster was any bigger, and he now knows how unrealistic it would be for him to travel the world and go on adventures at his current level. The girl thanks Nor for saving her life, and she would like to know his name. Nor simply says that he is no one important and leaves. That night, Nor thinks about how one monster who wasn't even a demon was such a problem for him. He shakes uncontrollably and once again determines that he must continue to train harder. A look back in the cave shows the aftermath of Nor's battle against the beast. A knight apologizes for not being there to protect the girl Lynn, but Lynn says it's okay because there's no point in having an escort for the trials for the right to the throne. It was Lynn's decision in the first place, and she apologizes to the knight named Enos for making her worry. Lynn's brother Rain learns about what happened, and he wonders if someone summoned the Minotaur to the city. It is a demon that resides in the abyss, the deepest layer of the dungeon, so someone had to bring it to the surface. Darken the Knight agrees with him, and explains that the source is thought to be a ring found on the corpse of a merchant at the scene. Some old mage analyzed the ring and found that it has a very high quality stone that would not be found on the market. The crest left on the stone indicates that the ring originates from the magic empire of Deritus. This isn't the first time they have been antagonized by Deritus. This time, a monster was summoned, and Princess Lin was bound by a barrier, so they realized that they must be careful. Derridus not only wanted to eliminate Lin, he is also after the kingdom's most valuable resource, the relics of the Dungeon of the Lost. Rain decides to change topics to the mysterious man that saved Lin. A report says that the guy used a single broadsword, and he defeated the Minotaur in just a matter of seconds. The knights followed him after, but the report says that he disappeared before their eyes like an illusion. It all sounds pretty unbelievable, so Rain wonders just who this guy is. Back at the guild, the old clerk is shocked to see that Nor is still alive because he heard that a demon appeared near the entrance of the dungeon. It was a demon like they have never seen before, and they couldn't find Nor afterwards. Nor thinks about how he was busy getting away from a strange group of people following him, but he just tells the clerk that he was tired and went home. The clerk explains that Nor is really lucky that he didn't bump into the demon. The clerk used to be an A rank, but even he would have lost his life if he encountered the beast. Nor assumes that the clerk is talking about a different monster than the one he fought, because his was actually just a big cow monster, not a demon. The clerk explains that a mysterious man defeated the demon with one blow, and the clueless Nor is amazed that there are outstanding people like that out in the world. The clerk pays Nor for his work, but wonders why he isn't more interested in taking a proper job. Nor has no clue what he's talking about, so the clerk once again has to explain to him that there's a way Nor can earn 30% more without the clerk taking a cut. Just then they are interrupted as Lin appears, and the clerk is shocked to see her. Lin is glad to have found Nor using her long distance detection skill, and she apologizes for doing so, but explains that she just had to meet him. Nor assumes that she has thief skills, but she explains that her focus is magic, and she also has knowledge of all 6 skill systems. Everyone is staring at them, so she would like to speak outside. The clerk is uneasy though, and wonders what kind of trouble Nor got himself into. Lin explains that talking outside would be better because there are less people there, and no one will be able to eavesdrop on them when she uses her soundproofing and concealment spell. Nor wonders if it's a good idea to go with her, but the clerk tells him that he must. Outside, Nor overhears that everyone is searching for the mystery man, but they begin to wonder if he even really exists. Nor wonders who they are searching for, but Lin tells him not to worry because they can't be detected. Lin did all this to thank him for saving her life, and she explains that he actually saved the lives of many others in the nation. Nor points out that Lin is pretty strong herself, and he thinks he actually just interfered with her fight. She can't imagine what would have happened to her if it wasn't for Nor, so Nor decides to accept her thanks. Lin wants to compensate him with her deepest gratitude, but the humble Nor says it's not necessary. Her father even wants to thank Nor personally, but Nor also says that's going too far. Lin explains that she's a person of high status, so she must give something to the person she owes her life to. She gets frustrated though when Nor rejects all her offers because he doesn't need anything. She eventually begins to cry and declares that Nor is obligated to accept her gratitude, so she refuses to move an inch until he does. This makes Nor remember the determination he had when trying to train at the schools, and he said he wouldn't leave either. Nor agrees to her demands because simply meeting her father doesn't seem like much of a hassle. Nor is surprised when she gets really cautious about it, and she explains that she doesn't want people to spot them. To keep that from happening, she uses concealment, detection occlusion, and multiple other skills to hide them. Nor is shocked to see how huge her house is, but she says it's pretty common for her kind of family. Nor finally gives her his name, and then realizes that she hasn't formally introduced herself yet. Her name is Limburg Clays, and she goes as Lin when she is adventuring. Nor can't believe how gigantic her house is, so he assumes that she's some kind of aristocrat. Lin asks Enos where her father is, and Enos explains that he's speaking with Rain. Lin explains that Nor is her special guest, and he is the one that risked his life to save hers. Enos is shocked to hear this, and decides to take them to Lin's father. Nor is completely lost at this point, as he assumes that Enos is the family maid. Although he thinks it would be strange, since she would have a tough time cleaning and doing laundry in her outfit. Enos is very serious, and Nor can tell that she seems suspicious of him. On their way, some guy aggressively wonders who Nor is, and Nor realizes that this house is pretty dangerous. This guy's name is Gilbert, and Enos tells him that Nor is their special guest. Gilbert realizes that this is the guy everyone is looking for, but he doesn't think that Nor looks very special. Enos tells Gilbert to accompany them, and secretly reveals that she is skeptical of Nor, so the more escorts they have, the better. Gilbert becomes very serious, and agrees to go with them. Nearby, the king is upset because Derridus is ignoring the peace treaty. He demanded that they hand over all the rights to the dungeon and offered to lend them his military power in return. The king knew that it was a scummy deal that would ruin his nation, so he refused, but Darius told him that he would regret his words. Rain explains that Darius is not the only threat they are facing, and the king realizes that it's finally time for something. Just then, Lin arrives with everyone. Nor doesn't notice everyone else bowing down, and he just walks right up to Lin's father. Rain sees that Lin is wearing the hermit's cloak, and he is furious because it means that she went outside. Lin explains that she had to find the person that saved her life, and she introduces Nor to her father. Lin's father is glad that he came, and Nor explains that he isn't an aristocrat, so he doesn't know proper etiquette in these situations. Lin's father actually prefers it this way because it makes him easier to talk to, and he formally thanks Nor for saving his daughter. Nor accepts his words, as that's all the gratitude he needs, and he is relieved that it's finally all over with, so he can head straight home now. Lin's father wants to reward him properly though, and offers to give him money and land. He wants to know what Nor desires, but Nor just says that he doesn't want anything like that. Lin's father then offers treasures from the dungeon. Their country possesses the world's oldest dungeon, and its treasures are incredibly rare. All the items found in the dungeon are stored in a treasure hall, and he offers to let Nor take half of the items stowed away in there. Rain is shocked as he points out that his father is being way too generous, but Nor once again declines. He doesn't need anything fancy, and their kind words are thank you enough for him. Lin's father doesn't know what to give a man that doesn't want money, land, or treasure, but Nor just wants to get out of there. Lin's father resorts to his most extreme offer and shows Nor the sword he keeps behind his throne. Rain wonders what his father is thinking, but the king explains that it's okay because the sword has become nothing more than a mere decoration at this point. Giving it to Nor would be way better than just letting it sit unused, and no one will notice if he replaces it with the replica anyway. No one can believe that the king is giving Nor this sword, and Nor is shocked by how heavy it is. Nor can tell that the sword is priceless, so he declares that he can't accept such a gift. Lin's father explains that it's just something he picked up, and he only used it because he liked it. It's really not that big of a deal, so Nor decides to accept it. Lin's father tells him to try it out, so Nor enhances his strength, and the powerful swing he takes shocks everyone. Lin's father is impressed by how he was able to swing it one-handed, and he asks Nor if he can help toughen up his daughter. Things are getting pretty dangerous, so he's worried about her, but Nor doesn't think there's anything he can teach her. On top of that, Nor thinks that parents shouldn't interfere too much with their children, and Lin should decide that for herself. Lin's father completely agrees with him, and Nor thinks about how this guy likes to laugh a lot. Nor decides that it's time for him to go, so Lin's father thanks him once again. As he leaves, Nor can't help but think that he was given something very valuable. Just then, he realizes that this sword is the same width as a drain he's always cleaning for some old lady, and he wonders if it would make his job easier. Out of nowhere, Enos appears to speak with Nor. Nor wonders if he's in trouble, but he is shocked when Enos takes a knee. She apologizes for treating him poorly, especially since he saved Lin's life. Nor accepts her apology, so she explains that it's her job to protect the Clay family, and that takes priority over everything. Nor realizes that she isn't a maid at all, so she explains that she's actually known as the Divine Shield, and she serves as vice captain of the Clay family warrior corps. At a very young age, she was appointed as shield for Lin. It's her job to protect Lin, even if it costs her her life. Nor saved Lin, so Enos declares that it's the same as him saving her life. Nor doesn't think it's that big of a deal, but Enos vows to help him however she can from now on. Nor thinks about how everyone there is pretty excessive, but decides to just accept her sentiment. Enos then gets very serious and points out that while Lin may have allowed it, Nor's speech and casual behavior towards the king was unacceptable. She cannot allow it anymore, and she demands that he refrain from doing so ever again. Nor apologizes, and he formally introduces himself. For some reason, she is shocked to hear that his name is Nor, but she says it's nothing. Just then, Gilbert stops Nor from going home and demands that he show him what he can do in battle. Nor is pretty exhausted and he would rather go home, so he is shocked when Gilbert insists that they have a mock battle. Nor has no clue what to expect because he hasn't had a training partner since he went to those schools 14 years ago. Gilbert explains that he's pretty famous for his fighting skills and he instructs Nor to choose a weapon. Nor realizes that this opportunity is a godsend for a budding adventurer, so he picks a sword and declares that he's ready for battle. Nor doesn't think he will be much of a challenge for Gilbert, so he plans to just take the battle as a chance to train with someone more skillful than him. The troops watching feel bad for Nor as he prepares to fight their captain, and they hope that he will enjoy the afterlife. Gilbert initiates the battle, but Nor easily dodges his attacks. Nor is amazed by how well Gilbert controls his pace and by how polished his movements are. He can tell that Gilbert trained a lot to get to this point, but Nor can't understand why Gilbert is so slow. Nor doesn't seem to realize what's really going on as he determines that Gilbert just doesn't think that Nor is worthy of seeing even a glimpse of what he can actually do. Nor stops the fight and explains that he knows that Gilbert is taking it easy on him. He then instructs Gilbert to not hold back so much. Gilbert didn't realize it, but figures that he must have been holding back because Nor is just a normal human. He apologizes and goes at Gilbert more seriously. Nor can tell that Gilbert is much faster now, and what's even more impressive is that Gilbert is leaving himself wide open after his attacks. Nor doesn't even consider that he isn't doing it on purpose, and just assumes that Gilbert is doing it to lure him in. Gilbert gets frustrated as he can't land an attack, but Nor thinks that Gilbert just isn't taking him seriously. Gilbert decides to show him a different move that changes mid-attack, but Nor easily avoids it as well, and he thinks about how it wasn't even close to hitting him. Nor tells Gilbert that he can speed up more, but he finally begins to wonder if Gilbert's already giving it his all. He thinks about all the solitary training he did, and begins to consider that he might actually have gotten stronger. Nor begins to think that he might actually be able to win, but Gilbert interrupts his thought as he uses an incredibly powerful attack. Gilbert is shocked though when the dust clears and Nor is no longer there. Nor just tells Gilbert that he wins the mock battle, but this just horrifies Gilbert. After Nor leaves, all the troops wonder how someone could have avoided their captain's Drawgrave attack. They rationalize it by saying that the wind force from the wide-tip practice spear Gilbert was using sent Nor flying. And if Gilbert was using a battle spear, then Nor surely would have lost his head. They know that someone with Gilbert's talent is 1 in a million, but Gilbert is pretty upset. He thinks about his past and how natural it felt the first time he held a spear. The more he trained, the more he polished his technique, and the more strength he gained. Gilbert went from village to village defeating all their strongest fighters, searching for someone that could defeat him. Gilbert had already defeated everyone in the royal capital, so he was hoping to find some great fighter in a random village. The nation was close to starting a war, so it was recommended to him that he return to the capital to search for groups that are assembling their power. Gilbert did return to the capital, where he did some demon hunting. He heard that someone formidable joined the corps, so he challenged them to fights and thoroughly destroyed them. Gilbert was just becoming more frustrated as he wondered if there was really no one that could challenge him. Gilbert was growing tired of all the weaklings surrounding him, and he was getting really bored. One day, his instructor informed Gilbert that he had received the same title as him, but Gilbert didn't care. He was still bored, so the instructor wondered what Gilbert thought of Enos. Gilbert explained that Enos was strong in a different way, but in a mock battle he assured that he would win against her. Gilbert could tell that his instructor was bored too, because he had to spend all his time training people that hardly equaled the power of one of his pinkies. The instructor was sure that someday someone would appear who would surpass him, and Gilbert just hoped that it would happen soon. Gilbert now thinks about how Nor was the man that defeated a minotaur all by himself. Gilbert wanted to know what kind of person could do that, but now he realizes that Nor makes no sense. Nor was really discourteous in front of the king, and he showed no interest in the most lavish gifts. He didn't seem like the kind of guy who could take down a monster on his own, but their battle showed him something different. Nor telling him that he could speed up made Gilbert go at him with full force. Gilbert has always known that using his most powerful technique on someone would result in them losing their life, but it was the only way that his spear would be able to land on Nor. Gilbert had no clue what happened when Nor didn't get hit by his attack, and for the first time in a head-on battle, Gilbert was thoroughly defeated. What's even worse is that Nor surrendered, and it seemed to be because he didn't want to embarrass Gilbert in front of his subordinates. What's even more humiliating is how casually Nor told him that he hoped they would meet again. After Nor left, Gilbert was shocked to see huge cracks in the ground because he didn't even notice when Nor did that. Regardless, Nor evaded his attack while he was using his full strength, so he becomes happy because things are finally getting exciting. Back with Nor, he realizes he was being foolish by thinking that he was getting stronger. He used strength enhancement and feather step, but he determines that he was only able to evade Gilbert's attack because Gilbert held back just enough so he could get away. He's glad that Gilbert showed him how weak he really is, so Noor is once again determined to get stronger. Noor goes back to doing his low-ranked tasks, and he is amazed by how well his new sword can clean a drain. It even gets the most stubborn gunk at the bottom, and Noor determines that his new sword really is amazing. He's glad that his ditch cleaning job is going well because it means that he can stop his soil hauling job for a while. Noor has this great sword now, so he just wants to be useful to people. He thinks of some different ways he could use the sword, but they all have their own problems. When it comes to abilities, the best Noor can do is light up his finger a little bit. Even though he trained at so many schools, he could only acquire skills of the lowest level. Just then, Lin appears, and Noor remembers that he's supposed to be more formal in front of royalty. She doesn't like it though, so she tells him to stop, and reveals that she has a special request for him. Lin then declares that she would like for Noor to accept her as his page. Noor has no clue what that is, so she explains that a page is someone who takes care of another person's everyday necessities as they learn techniques and absorb knowledge from that person. It's kind of like being an apprentice, but just being around Noor would be enough for her. Noor instantly refuses, but Lin is sure that she can be of use to him. She has achieved the highest marks ever in all 6 training schools, so she knows that she would make a great page. Noor still rejects and explains that there is just nothing for him to teach her. Also, she can't help him because he can do what he needs on his own. Lin says her family will pay him handsomely, but he rejects that too. She then offers to be his assistant, but he doesn't need her for that either. She proves herself with a grand display of magic, and she declares that it was the highest levels of magic skills that she can use. She then shows off her Mistblade attack and instantly slices an entire tree in half. She explains that it's a technique from the Thief class, but that isn't all. She then uses her Divine Slash, and it's incredibly powerful. She reveals that it's the Sacred class skill of a swordsman. Lin is disappointed when Noor rejects her again, and he wonders if she has him mistaken for a person who's worth learning from. She just proved how talented she is, so Noor almost feels pitiful compared to her. All she has done is prove even further that there is nothing for Noor to teach her. Lin is very determined, so Noor tries to think of how he can make her understand. He has nothing to teach her, so he decides to just show her. Lin demonstrated all her amazing abilities, so Noor shows her the extent of his abilities, his tiny flame. As she heads home afterwards, Lin thinks about stories that all the instructors at the 6 schools would tell their students. The stories of the young boy with no talent. The students just took the stories as fairy tales because the idea of such a boy really existing seemed impossible. This boy attended all the training schools at the royal capital, known for their rigorous training, and he completed the full term for each. That alone was unbelievable because even the toughest warriors would give up after 3 days in the 3-month course, let alone a child. That is what she thought as well, until she met Noor. One day the instructor of magic showed Lin something interesting. He showed her how his tiny flame could get bigger. Instructor Oaken explained that depending on the training, even the base level skill Tiny Flame can grow as large as his. It has absolutely no practical use, and for the past 200 years Oaken has just used it for fun. Lin has tried growing her tiny flame herself countless times, but she can never make the flame even a tiny bit larger. It's clearly not something that can be done easily, and probably requires a devotion to studying for a really long time. This is exactly why Lin was stunned when she saw Noor's tiny flame. It was many times bigger than what the world's greatest sorcerer Oaken had done. It was a tiny flame that far outclassed anything she has ever seen. Noor was ashamed of it and explained that the other 5 class skills he knows are just like this one. Noor doesn't realize it, but all 6 of his class skills are extraordinary. Lin is now ashamed of herself for trying to show off her skills. Noor fended off a demon attack with a basic sword, but he didn't brag about his power at all, and he just quietly went on working for other people. Noor is clearly strong in mind and body, and he never yields to anyone. Lin will soon be in position to rule the nation alongside her brother, so she needs to be strong. That is why she is determined to learn how to be strong the same way Noor is strong. That night, Lin finds Noor again and thinks about how she will follow behind Noor wherever he goes until he recognizes her as his page. This is because the strength that her royal family has been looking for resides within Noor. Thanks for watching my recap. Subscribe to the channel to help us reach 700,000 subscribers.